Welcome to News in Alberta. This is Special Ed. Today we're looking at my quick audit of the RCMP Cold Lake building and my questions about the Fabian Scanie incident.
This is Special Ed, News in Alberta. Today we're doing kind of an audit, kind of a story on the Cold Lake RCMP. This was the building that I was brought to when I was arrested for not giving my ID. I was arrested by Constable Michael Buxey, which I have a complaint against right now. I have court in a few days coming for obstruction, and we'll see how that goes. But we're also here because a couple of days ago, one of their unknown RCMP officers was cleared of all doing for the murder of Fabian Scanie right here in Cold Lake. As we are in Cold Lake, Alberta right now. I had to come here to get some stuff, so I decided why not film the RCMP. So yeah, I was arrested when I was filming a church in Cold Lake. Brought here, put in a cell for 3 hours, and then they let me go after charging me with obstruction for not giving my ID to Michael Buxey. I say his name, and I've said his name in all my videos that I've made about him. In my view, he's a dirty cop. And I've had many people come to me and tell me that he's a dirty cop. Tell me what he did to them using excessive force. This woman sent me a video of her bruises, or pictures of her bruises that she got while being detained by Michael Buxey. And I've heard of others calling him a dirty cop and with their stories. Still haven't decided if I'm gonna go inside and ask some questions. Last time I went inside, you guys really liked the video. Now I have my mask on, which is a different story. They might not like that. They really don't like me filming in there, these guys, because last time I put out a video, I didn't really look good for them inside, so Now I walk in there and everybody hides their face. I said it won't be a very long story today. Mostly talking about that Fabian Scanie issue. We do have some notes about that. So Fabian Scanie was a native person dealing with addiction and mental health issues. He was murdered by a Cold Lake RCMP officer for brandishing a knife outdoors. The officer was standing far enough away. He had other non-lethal options. There is de-escalation and mental health training that would have helped here. The officer's name was not released because there is a lack of transparency when it comes to RCMP. And it came out this week that the officer was cleared for the 2024 shooting. This shooting was one of the first on-scene videos in Cold Lake that I've done. I was there the next morning when they had crime scene tape up and doing the investigation. I'll try to link that video in the description. This is a sad day for police transparency and police accountability. One of the stories at the time was the Alberta Serious Incident Response Team has cleared an RCMP officer of wrongdoing in the fatal 2024 shooting of Fabian Scanie. So this was the recent talk about it. A member of the Cold Lake First Nation. Watchdog official determined the officer acted in self-defense after Scanie allegedly attacked a bystander with a knife and later advanced towards police while holding the weapon in a stabbing motion. A stabbing motion, that's, yeah. However, the ruling has reopened emotional wounds for Scanie's family and sparked calls for greater accountability from local leadership. Cold Lake First Nation Chief Kelsey Jacko criticized the response, arguing that police should have utilized the community mental health crisis team to de-escalate the situation instead of relying on lethal force. While Scanie's brother grieves the loss of a man who was actively trying to rebuild his life, community advocates hope the tragic outcome prompts a shift towards incorporating healthcare professionals in active emergency response, which I've been saying for years. So the thing that came out at the time was the RCMP officer involved in the shooting in Cold Lake, Alberta RCMP press release. On December 14, 2024 at approximately 8 p.m., Cold Lake RCMP responded to a 911 call an attempting stabbing of a transit stop at 50th Street and 43rd Avenue in Cold Lake. That's right in front of the Tim Hortons there. Two officers arrived and located the male subject armed with an edged weapon. Officers used their intervention options. They used their options, including a firearm, to bring the suspect to custody. That was their option, shooting him. The subject was transported to local hospital where he succumbed to his injuries. No officers or other civilians were injured during the incident. In compliance with the legislative requirements, the Director of Law Enforcement was immediately notified, resulting in employment of ACERT to conduct an independent investigation. The RCMP believe in accountability and transparency. I call crap on that because we didn't hear nothing of it for over a year before, or a year and a half before it came to, oh, he's not guilty. A report released Alberta Police Watchdog last week has cleared an RCMP officer of any wrongdoing in the fatal 2024 shooting of a man in Cold Lake, Alberta. But a family member and First Nations community leader are calling for greater police accountability. Fabian Scanie, a member of the Cold Lake First Nation, was shot by police on December 14, 2024, after an officer responded to reports of an attempted stabbing. He was taken to hospital but died of his injuries shortly after arrival, according to the report. The report concluded that officer who shot Scanie had acted in self-defense. Based on the evidence, there is no reasonable interpretation that the subject officer, which is unknown, of course, was acting in defense himself when he fired. Matthew Block, an acting executive director of the Alberta Serious Incident Response Team, wrote in the report, "There were no other means available to the SO to respond to a threat of grievous bodily harm presented. Officer and witness testimony included in the report said Scanie had attacked a man waiting for the bus with a knife. According to witness accounts and video footage, Scanie initially walked away and did not cooperate with police demands. A search report found that the subject officer drew his gun upon arrival and ran towards the suspect. So he said it was self-defense, but the officer drew his gun and ran towards the suspect. The report describes Scanie as argumentative, and his behavior escalated significantly after the subject officer approached. Testimony from the three officers present says Scanie became aggressive, described as focused and quickly advancing towards the subject officer while holding a knife in a stabbing motion. Scanie was shot 3 times, and the report states that medical examiner determined the final gunshot wound was fatal. Now, they said that Scanie was going towards the officer, but at the beginning of the report, they said that the officer pulled out his gun and ran towards Scanie. So right there's contradiction. And there was witnesses, and from what I've heard, the witnesses were saying that the cop went towards Scanie with his gun. If you want to de-escalate something, you don't approach like that, you de-escalate. You don't approach with a gun out and hope that the guy calms down. That's not how mental health works. They need mental health training. They need mental health people in the office. I've always said that. Looks like they're having some construction going on in the back or somewhere. Looks like they're spending some of their RCMP budget on flowers and other stuff for the yard. This is a newer, well, not very new, but newish building. I wonder if they plant a flower for every right they violate. And behind that fence is their picnic tables and, that kind of stuff to feel homey. Let's try to go inside. I might have to take my mask off inside. I don't know what they have for rules, but I don't really care. They know who I am. They arrested me. Hi. Wondering if I could speak to someone about the Fabian Scanie murder that the cop was released from. Relationship protocol.
Can I help you?
Yeah, wondering if I can get any sound bites about the Fabian Scanie murder.
No.
No? Can't know who the officer is, of course, because you guys don't believe in transparency.
ACERT investigated it, and we were cleared of it. So, anything else? You can ask ACERT for a soundbite if you like.
Okay.
We're not the investigating agency on the shooting, so.
Well, what do you think about hiding an officer's name that shot someone? And
Okay. Number one, take the face mask off.
Number one, I don't have to. This is public.
Okay, well then I'm going to ask you to leave. It's not public property.
It totally is.
This is a
public.
government agency, and I'm now directing you to leave my office.
This is public. Right here, public lobby of a public building.
So here's the deal. I'm going to give you an ultimatum here. Anybody can film in Canada. That's not a problem. But the second you put a face mask on and conceal your identity, that becomes a problem for me. So
Okay, what law?
Unless you decide to leave my office willfully, I will be arresting you for obstruction.
Again?
Again.
Get false arrest like that asshole did?
You can argue that in court. I'm asking you to leave politely, and if you choose not to, then that's
Okay.
you taking your own fate into your own hands.
P. Russell, I will leave public property under law.
Hey, you have basic rights in Canada to
I do.
be able to express your opinions
And film in public.
to film. You know, that's a right inherited, but however, when you conceal your identity,
There's no law.
it becomes public mischief and you will be arrested for that.
It's not public mischief. The law doesn't state that I can't wear a mask in public.
Well,
No
I,
law.
No
No law.
To get an education.
No law anywhere in Canada states that I can't have a mask on in public.
Have a good day.
Yeah, fuck you very much. Now I've checked the Canadian law, I've checked the Alberta law, and I'm covered under freedom of expression to have my mask on. It's not mischief to have a mask on. Threatened with arrest again on public property. by Officer Russell. These cops really piss me off when they violate rights. I ask questions, they escalate. As you can see, there is no de-escalation in Cold Lake. They'll escalate everything they can. That's gonna be my story for today, guys. Again, no comments from Cold Lake RCMP about the Fabian Scanie murder.
So what he was trying is obstruction, which I didn't obstruct anything at any point. And then he tried to bring out Section 430 of the Criminal Code of Canada, which is mischief. It only applies when a person willfully destroys, damages, or interferes with a lawful use of enjoyment of someone else's property or data. And usually it's about vandalism, graffiti, slashing tires, malicious wiping of computer data. He was pulling laws and charges out of his ass, trying to arrest me for any reason he can, and then, figure it out in court. What do you think of this? Let me know in the comments. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.